Good morning, everybody. This is Steve Fletcher with a trumpet for my people. Today's December 17th, 2021, and I have a wonderful update for you guys today. I've got more information that is going together with what we are watching on January 6th and January 8th, between January 6th and January 8th. And I don't think this video can be better than the last one I did, because the last one was was amazing. Okay, if I do say so myself. I think that we have come upon the information that we have been waiting for. There's more information that goes with this. Now, what I am going to do here, though, on this message is when I go through and edit out when I edit the clips and this video, I'm going to add on the previous message right here on this. For those who have not seen the last message that I did, Bo means go, January 6th through 8th, 2022. I'm going to add that right here at the end of this message. So that message was about 37 minutes. So this message may end up being 50 minutes total. If I have 13 or 15 new minutes, I'm going to be adding. So if you've already seen the previous message, then you can either watch it again, or you can disregard the fact that the previous message is on the end of this. So it's not another 40 minutes. It's the previous 37 minutes are included at the end of this video. So you can just keep that in mind as we get into this message. Okay. Now, in the previous message, we have all of these things that we talked about. It's day 1335 from Israel's 70th birthday. We've got the connection to the World Health Organization pandemic declaration, the midway point on March 11th, 2020. We've got the 666 days plus another 666 days. That brings us to January 6th, the day of the Epiphany. We've got the connection to Antiochus Epiphany, the connection to 88, which connected to the candle factory in Kentucky, connected to 88 deaths. Exactly at the X marks the spot in between the two solar eclipses. That is an amazing piece of information, how that judgment came right on the midway point of the two eclipses. We've got the connection to Bo. Okay, Bo on the Torah calendar. Bo, which is the dog of Barack Obama, and it's the initials of Barack Obama. Bo means go. Okay, one of the very important pieces of information that we shared about in that first message was Venus becoming the morning star, inferior conjunction of Venus, the transition from evening to morning star. That is exactly on January 8th, day 1335 from Israel's 70th birthday, Venus becoming the morning star. Very important. Then we also have the connection to Orthodox Christmas on January 7th. Obama saying he will win the war on Christmas. The connection between the Gregorian and the Julian calendar between December 25th and January 7th. 13 days difference between the Gregorian and the Julian calendars. Okay, so in the Eastern world, January 7th is Christmas. Okay, now as we get into this, the first thing I want to show you, I have something very interesting that connects with what we have already mentioned about January 7th and 8th on the Torah calendar, which is really the most accurate as far as when the new moon sighting is going to be. What the true date is based on the new moon sighting, and so on the Torah calendar, January 7th and 8th, there's the heading of the day is Bo. Okay, Bo means go. We talked about this and how it's connected to Obama has a dog also named Bo, and he was sitting on the Great Seal. This is a Twitter photo that came out. He's sitting on the Great Seal in the Oval Office, right in front of the arrows. The arrows are pointing to Bo. Okay, Bo and arrows. Okay, and this is also connected to Sagittarius on January 8th. Okay, on January 8th, and the uh, the the rider on the white horse with the crown, Corona Australis, with a bow and with the arrows. Okay. Now, connected to this, what do you think about this? This Bo Jackson has arrived. Bo knows, and this is Madden 22. Bo Jackson has been out of the NFL for 30 years. Okay, he retired. He actually had a career-ending injury in 1991. It was January of 1991, and his last game, okay, was 30 years ago. So out of nowhere, 30 years later, Bo knows. And so the title of Madden 22 is Bo knows. All right. Now this is connected to the dog. Bo, it's connected to B.O. Barack Obama. Obama knows. Barack Obama knows. Bo knows. Now, okay, get this, guys. Back in 2016, all right, we're talking about Barack Obama's dog. He had a dog named Bo. Okay. Back in 2016, a man was arrested for a plot to kidnap the Obama's dog. Okay. Bo and Sonny. Now, if you took a look at the two names of the dogs, Bo and Sonny, remember this is all connected to Christmas. It's all connected to the sun god. It's all connected to the continuation of the Antichrist, the spirit of Nimrod, and the sun gods of throughout history connected to Christmas. And Obama's two dogs were named Bo and Sonny. Okay, so Barack Obama, Sonny, the sun god. All right. Well, anyway, this the man was arrested for plot to kidnap the Obama's dog, and he wanted to kidnap Bo. And what was the date? This was amazing. Someone sent this to me. I had no idea about this. I didn't even remember about his dog Bo being kidnapped, but someone sent me the information. January 8th, 2016. Can you believe that? Bo was, I mean, we're watching, okay? We're watching Bo, meaning go, and the Torah calendar shows January 7th, January 8th, Bo means go. And Obama's dog Bo was going to be kidnapped on January 8th. Okay. Now, got another piece of information that I want to share connected to this. And this has to do with the new moon sighting anywhere from January 4th to January 5th. Okay, in between January 4th and January 5th will be the new moon sighting. Okay, some reports show that it could be expected on January 4th. As we can see, January 4th is going to be a very small percentage, and it's very possible that it may not be spotted. But either way, between January 4th and January 5th. Okay, now I want to look at the third day of the new moon. Okay, the third day of the new moon, whether we're looking at January 6th or January 7th, okay, we have the 4th, and then we have the 5th, 6th, 7th would be the third day, or the 7th or the 8th. Okay, so anywhere between the 6th, 7th, and 8th, which is the window we're watching, January 6th through January 8th, I want to look at the third day of the new moon. Okay. Okay, now we have shared about this in the past, and we have seen the connection to the possibility of the third day. We know that the wedding in Cana was the third day. Okay. And David ended up fleeing into the wilderness on the third day of the new moon. Now, let's take a look at this, because there is a connection here that lines up amazingly with exactly what we are watching now. 1 Samuel 20, verses 18 through 21. Then Jonathan said to David, "Tomorrow is the new moon, and thou shalt be missed, because thy seat will be empty. And when thou hast stayed 3 days, then shalt thou go down quickly and come to the place where thou didst hide thyself when the business was in hand, and shalt remain by the stone Ezel." Okay? "And I will shoot 3 arrows on the side thereof, as though I shot at a mark. Okay. And behold, I will send a lad, saying, Go, find out the arrows. If I expressly say unto the lad, Behold, the arrows are on this side of thee, take them, then come thou, for there is peace to thee, and no hurt, as the Lord liveth." Okay. So David was not going to be at the feast on the new moon with King Saul. He was going to hide in the wilderness, and then after 3 days, if the king had been upset that he was not there, then Jonathan would know that Saul was trying to kill David. Okay, and so then what he would do as a sign to him, he will shoot arrows beyond him. He will shoot the arrows past him. So the sign for David to know that it was time to flee, okay, was the arrows. What are we watching on January 8th? It's the sign of the arrows. It's Sagittarius. Venus is the bright morning star in Sagittarius, which is the rider with a bow, with an arrow, and a crown. Just as it says in Revelation 6:2, "I saw, and behold, a white horse. He that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him. He went forth conquering and to conquer." And see how this is all connected to Bo? On January 7th and 8th, Obama's dog Bo, who was also kidnapped on January 8th, and he's sitting right at the arrows. Okay, the bow and the arrows. And this connects us to the third day of the new moon. It connects us to the story of David fleeing into the wilderness. The sign for him to go, to flee because his life was in danger, was the arrows. And it's connected to Venus as the morning star in Sagittarius on January 8th. Isn't that amazing? Now here's another piece of information that was sent to me that I had not remembered. I didn't have any recollection of this. But this is a major sign in the evangelical community in the world. The finding of the Ark of the Covenant that happened. And you would not believe that. Look at this, guys. January 6th, 2022 is the 40-year anniversary. 40 years. How important is the number 40 in the Bible? I mean, this is amazing. From January 6, 1982. And it's all connected to the 10 Commandments that Ron Wyatt says he found on January 6, 1982, 40 years to January 6th, 2022, and Moses was in the wilderness and received the tablets during the time of the wilderness journeys during 40 years. 40 years, okay? I mean, this anniversary coming up on January 6th is so deep, so profound, that as soon as I saw this piece of information, I knew I had to include it for you in a new video and give you this information. So this January 6th, 2022 is the 40-year anniversary of the finding of the Ark of the Covenant. The next thing that we want to remember, basically all year long, the huge talk, especially the connected to Trump, the last Trump could be the last Trump, was the insurrection that took place, the siege on the White House that took place last year on January 6th. A day that will live in infamy, a day that they are calling now Insurrection Day. January 6th, okay? The day that Satan ended up in the halls of Congress. I mean, through this shaman that went in, and Satan ended up through his horns right there in the halls of Congress on January 6th. Okay, so this is something we should not overlook. All year long, they've been talking January 6th, January 6th, January 6th. They go over and over, and they've been repeating this all year long. January 6th, January 6th, and all the arrests and all of the information, all of the charges that are being placed upon all the people involved in the insurrection that took place on January 6th. Okay, Insurrection Day, the siege on the White House, Satan in the halls of Congress on January 6th. And before I end this portion of the video, I want to share with you about the federal mandates that have been delayed and put on hold until January of 2022. And so here we have a connection to the beginning of what is going to be the final federal mandate on vaccinations. And it's all going to be put into motion starting at the beginning of January, especially on January 4th. Biden administration delays vaccine mandate penalties until 2022. OMB and OPM officials said agencies should extend the counseling portion of enforcement of President Biden's vaccine mandate through the end of the year, citing recent progress in the federal workforce's vaccination rate. Okay, so penalties are delayed until 2022. Then we have this report that says Biden administration to delay firing of unvaccinated federal workers until 2022. And it goes on to say federal workers who have defied President Joe Biden's vaccine mandate likely won't be fired until 2022 at the earliest, with the White House encouraging education and counseling as a first step. Biden's vaccine requirement for 3.5 million strong federal workforce took effect last week. In a letter to agencies on Monday, the Office of Management and Budget encouraged managers to stick to education, counseling, and at most, letters of reprimand for unvaccinated employees until January 1st, 2022. Okay, so the beginning of January, and now we have a report coming out that specifically shows January 4th as uniform vaccination deadline. Okay, January 4th, uniform vaccination deadline. On November 4th, 2021, the White House issued a fact sheet addressing its vaccination policies, including the government contractor mandate under EO 14042. Three key points stand out. The compliance deadline for full vaccination status will be extended from December 8th, 2021 to January 4th, 2022. Okay, January 4th is uniform vaccination deadline. See how this is lining up exactly January 4th with the new moon? The new moon, the beginning of the month, and what could be, and what looks to be, the final 3-day countdown to the third day of the new moon, when Saul got angry and was going after David into the wilderness, and the sign was sent. The sign was sent to David to flee through the arrows. And on the third day of the new moon, David fled into the wilderness. And this is exactly the way this is lining up. The vaccination mandate, a uniform vaccination mandate schedule for January 4th. It's the new moon of the 11th month on the Hebrew and Torah calendar. Okay? And then you have the third day leading us to Bo. Bo means go, and we have the connection to bow and arrows and the story of David on the third day being warned by the arrows to flee into the wilderness. Let your flight be not in winter. And day 1335 is Saturday, the Sabbath in winter. Saturday, January 8th, day 1335 from Israel's 70th birthday. Pray your flight will not be in winter or on a Sabbath, for then there will be great tribulation, such as not occurred since the beginning of the world until now, nor ever will. Matthew 24:20 through 21. Pray that your flight will not be in winter or on a Sabbath. January 8th, day 1335, is a Sabbath in winter. Pretty amazing conjunction. So now to close this portion of this message from the Clade X pandemic exercise that was done on May 15th, 2018, 666 days to the World Health Organization declaration of coronavirus as a global pandemic. And then we have another 666 days bringing us to the day of the Epiphany, the connection to Antiochus Epiphanes on January 6th, 2022. Something that was brought to my attention that I had not looked into the actual meaning behind the name of this pandemic exercise. Okay, I have been saying that this is Clade X because this is, as someone said to me, this is pure witchcraft, the way they write their words to throw everybody off, because it is not Clade X, it's Clad X. It's a pandemic exercise. So the word that this is connected to is not clade, it's clad. Okay, Clad X, a pandemic exercise. Let's look at the meaning of clad, and we're going to see how important this is in what they're doing with the black goo and the metals that are being put into these vaccines. Okay, it's Clad X, a pandemic exercise. The meaning of clad is to clothe or to dress. It also means to cover with a protective or insulating layer of other material, or it's to sheathe or cover a metal with a metal. Okay? To sheathe or cover a metal with a metal. It's a clothing with metal. Okay? Now, this is the exact vision of, as many other people have brought out, this whole promotion of the vaccines and the metals that are going in. It's the end time portion of Nebuchadnezzar's vision of the man with the feet of iron and clay. It's the mixing of flesh and metal, iron and clay. Okay, but the exact meaning of this exercise that took place is Clade X, and clad means to clothe with a metal. This is not something we should overlook. This is all connected, and it is the connection to the end time abomination. Okay, it's the connection to the end time abomination, a mixing of iron and clay, a changing of the DNA. Okay, and if we see carefully what the Bible says, okay, we have the 70 weeks of Daniel. The 70 weeks of Daniel that are finishing on May 14th, 2018. And then we have the exact next day, Clade X pandemic exercise is beginning. And this is the beginning of the abomination being set up. And so according to Daniel 12:11 and 12, it says, from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Okay, so exactly 1,290 days after Israel's 70th birthday, after Clade X pandemic exercise, there shall be 1,290 days. Exactly on November 24th, 2021, the Omicron variant becomes public. Okay? They release Omicron to the world on November 24th, 2021. It goes on to say, blessed is he that waiteth, and cometh to the 1,305 days. Okay? Blessed is he who waits and arrives at the 1,335 days. So we have the abomination being set up. We have 1,290 days and a new marker, the new variant that is going to really disrupt the world recovery, as everybody was hoping to get back to normal. And now we have new mandates coming, and we have new lockdowns coming, and all of this Omicron connected to November 24th, 2021, day 1,290. Day 1,335 is the day that Venus transitions from being the evening star back to being the morning star. Exactly in Sagittarius, the rider on the white horse with a crown, with a bow, and it's the arrival of the Antichrist. Bo knows. Bo knows. He said way back when that he would win the war on Christmas. And Epiphany on January 6th, Orthodox Christmas on January 7th, and Venus as the morning star, and Satan also wants to usurp the title of being the bright morning star. He's the star of the morning, Lucifer, the star of the morning. And so this is all connected to the rise of the Antichrist, and Bo knows. So I will end this portion of this message at this point, and what remains of this video is my previous message that I shared with you. Bo means go, January 6th through January 8th, 2022. I pray you guys are blessed. This is Steve Fletcher with a trumpet for my people, the sign of his coming revealed. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Steve Fletcher with a trumpet for my people. Today is December 15th, 2021, and I am very excited to bring this update to you guys today. And I'm going to title this message, Bo means it's time to go. Bo means it's time to go. Now you're going to see as we get into this message why I titled that, and what I mean by that. We are going to be sharing with you a lot of information, but very solid, very powerful, very clear, and very understandable information. And it's all going to make sense by the end of this message. I hope not to be too long, but at the same time, I want to be thorough and complete in my explanations, so we will take the time that we need to explain ourselves. Okay, I'm going to start here. This is where my last message ended, and I have seen something very, very clear taking us to January 8th. Well, at the end of it, it's going to be January 6th through January 8th. We have a 3-day window. We need to be very careful to watch, and I will explain all of that as we get into this message. So thank you all for joining me today. And this is not a live message, but I am going to be sharing this as a premiere. And so everyone who's joining us today, thank you for being here. Please share this message. Please like this, share this, and subscribe to the channel and help get the word out. Okay, we have very important information that we are sharing on this channel, Steve Fletcher, A Trumpet for My People. Okay, we have a biblical timeline of 70 years from the rebirth of Israel. 70 weeks are determined, 70 years in a generation, and we have very important markers on May 14th, 2018, at the end of the 70 years, and this brings us to the inauguration of the American Embassy in Jerusalem, the declaration of Jerusalem as the eternal capital of Israel on May 14th, 2018. We have 1,260 days after that was October 24th. This was the day of Noah's flood, Chess Van 17. This is also the day that Dear Earth came out, a program sponsored and that had Barack Obama as its keynote speaker, Dear Earth, on the day that the earth was destroyed, on the day of the flood. Then we have 1,290 days. Took us exactly to the day that Omicron variant came out, shown to the world on November 24th, 2021. That's the 1,290 day marker. And if we follow this timeline out, then the blessed day 1335 brings us to January 8th, 2022. Okay? January 8th, 2022. Now, I have found so much more information that is going to connect us with this, and you are going to really be amazed as we get into all of this information. Okay? January 8th, 2022. Okay, now, as far as a timeline starting at the end of the 70 years, we do have the marker in Israel of the United States Embassy that was inaugurated in Jerusalem on this day, but there was another thing that happened on this day that began an agreement or a covenant or a plan that it was run by the United States, okay, and it was called Clade X. It's a pandemic exercise. This took place on May 15th, 2018. Okay, this was run by the United States and the world, but there's a preference given to the United States in the planning of this pandemic exercise, Clade X, okay? So on Israel's 70th birthday, between May 14th and May 15th, we had the beginning of a planning process that began, okay, May 15th, 2018. Now, to give you a clarity and the importance of what this means and how this is connected to what we are seeing now worldwide with the COVID-19 crisis. Okay, how is this connected to the COVID-19 crisis? We are going to see that from May 15th, 2018, okay, the day that they had this pandemic exercise, 666 days later was the coronavirus pandemic declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization on March 11th, 2020. Okay? Is there a connection to the rise of the Antichrist, to a covenant that is being made, to a plan that is being brought forth from Clade X, May 15, 2018, 666 days later, the World Health Organization declares coronavirus a global pandemic on March 11th, 2020. Now, this is going to be very interesting as we see how this connects to where we are watching now in January, on January 6th through January 8th of 2022. We're going to see that if we go, okay, we have a 3.5 year timeline that goes from May 15th, 2018, 666 days later, brings us to March 11th, 2020, the declaration by the World Health Organization of coronavirus as a global pandemic. Then, if we add another 666 days to that, okay, it's bringing us to the day of the Epiphany of our Lord, the Feast of the Epiphany. Okay, and here's our connection to Antiochus Epiphanes. Okay, Antiochus Epiphanes gave himself this name because Epiphanes means the manifestation of God. Antiochus Epiphanes, the manifestation of God. Okay, so what do we see then? We see that from May 15, 2018, adding 666 days brings us to the declaration by the World Health Organization, and then we add another 666 days, and it brings us to January 6th, 2022. So we're going to be able to see then that when you add 666 days plus 666 days, you will see that 1,335 days is only a 3-day difference. You add 666 plus 666 plus 3, and it brings you to day 1,335. Okay, so here we have the connection of Israel fulfilling the 70 years, and then we have on the exact day, Clade X, the planning of the global pandemic that begins, and we have a middle marker, okay, that's bringing us exactly to the declaration by the World Health Organization in between this. Okay, and so we're seeing here that between January 6th and January 8th, we have these 3 days highlighted and bringing us to day 1,335. Okay, now let's get into this piece of information about Epiphany, okay, and the meaning of Epiphany and the importance of this day, Epiphany, okay. First and foremost, when you talk about the abomination of desolation that took place, and you talk about Hanukkah, we're going to see it's all surrounding a man named Antiochus Epiphanes. Okay, what does Epiphany mean? Epiphany means a manifestation or appearance of a divine or superhuman being. Okay, so Antiochus Epiphanes chose the name Epiphanes for himself because he was exalting himself to be the status of a god the manifestation of God, Antiochus Epiphanes. Okay, so this is the meaning of Epiphany. The full definition of Epiphany: January 6th, observed as a church festival in commemoration of the coming of the Magi as the first manifestation of Christ to the Gentiles, or in the Eastern Church in commemoration of the baptism of Christ. Okay, so the Epiphany is celebrated as the manifestation of Christ. It also means an appearance or manifestation, especially of a divine being, and it can mean usually sudden manifestation or perception of the essential nature or meaning of something. You perceive it, a perception, an understanding, an intuitive grasp of reality through something as an event, usually simple and striking, an illuminating discovery, realization, or disclosure. So it could also mean revelation. Like it says, a revealing scene or moment. It's the manifestation, or it's the revealing. It's the revelation of a thing. Okay? The epiphany. It's the revelation. Okay? Now, just to give you an understanding how Antiochus is a prototype of Antichrist. Okay? Connected to Barack Obama. Is Barack Obama the Messiah? Is Barack Obama the Antichrist? Okay, I want to share with you what Barack Obama said on January 7th, 2008. Okay, now this is connected to the same time frame. It's connected to the Epiphany. It's connected to another very important day, January 7th. We're going to see in just a minute. But on January 7th, 2008, Barack Obama said the following: a light will shine through that window, a beam of light will come down upon you, and you will experience an epiphany, and you will suddenly realize that you must go to the polls and vote for Obama. Okay? Barack Obama said this in Lebanon, New Hampshire, January 7th, 2008. And you see how he is using the definition of epiphany within his own explanation of when you experience an epiphany, you will suddenly realize, okay, and this is a sudden manifestation or a sudden perception. You will suddenly realize, okay, and you will experience an epiphany. You will suddenly realize. All right. Now, is there a coincidence that on January 7th, between the day of the Epiphany and what we're going to see next is Orthodox Christmas, on January 7th, that he uses this phrase? You will experience an epiphany. He said this connected to the day of the Epiphany. He said this connected to the day of Orthodox Christmas on January 7th, 2008. Okay, so this is a very important piece of information connected to all of this, and I wanted to give you that understanding. Now, the next piece of information I want to share with you is that if we look at the life of Barack Obama from the day of his birth, okay, August 4th, 1961, going to January 8th, 2022, we're going to see that there are 22,072 days. 22,072 days. Now, if we go to the verse number that corresponds to day number 22,072 of Barack Obama, the 22,072nd verse of the Bible is Daniel 11:35, and it says, "Some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them, and to purge, and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed." Okay, it is yet for a time appointed. And it's talking about the beginning of the tribulation. Some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them, to purge them, to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed. Okay, very interesting connection that on January 8th, 2022, this would be the verse of the day in the life of Barack Obama. Some of them of understanding shall fall, to the time of the end. It is yet for a time appointed. Okay, and I want to share a few more pieces of information with you about what we've seen in Mayfield, Kentucky, and the connection to the two total solar eclipses over America, making an X over America, and this is a sign of judgment on America the Great, Babylon the Great. It's an X across America, and exactly in the middle location of this, we have Mayfield, Kentucky, exactly where all the tornadoes hit, and basically the whole town of Mayfield was wiped out. Okay, right here, exactly at the center point where the two eclipses cross. The other thing we had seen about this is that there are 2,422 days between these two eclipses, and the middle point is 1,211. 2,422 divided by 2 is 1,211, and the tornadoes hit on December 11th, which is 1211. So we have a clear sign of judgment coming based on these two eclipses exactly in Mayfield, Kentucky. But the other information that we had shared with you is about the candle factory that was destroyed, and the original report came out that 8 were dead and 8 were missing, okay, after tornadoes ripped through Kentucky candle factory. Okay, now thank God the missing people have all been found, but there were still 8 dead at this factory. 8 people died at the candle factory, and there were 8 missing originally, although those 8 have now been found. But the original report came out 8 dead and 8 missing. Well, the other report that came out, and we'll be able to see this if you go to the headline, the tornadoes death toll of all the areas that they struck and across all the states that they struck, the tornadoes death toll rises to 88, okay, including 74 in Kentucky. So we've got a double sign of 88. All right, we've got a double sign of 88 from the tornadoes that went through Kentucky. We've got the candle factory itself, which was 88, and then we've got 88 total dead. Okay, very interesting how this is all playing out, and the numbers that are coming forth from these headlines. Okay, now, is this pointing also to January 8th? Okay, the 8th day of 2022, January 8th, 8/8, the 8th day of 2022, day 1335 from Israel's 70th birthday. Okay, I'm getting into one of the most amazing signs on this day. Very important, very exciting, and I found this information because we've been watching especially over the last 2 months, as Venus in the evening sky has been getting brighter and brighter. It's just been amazing, especially this last month when we had on December 6th or so, when we had the new moon conjoined with Venus. What a spectacular sight in the heavens. And Venus is so bright right now. And we know that Jesus is, in Revelation 22:16, it says, I am the root and the offspring of David and the bright morning star. Okay, and the brightest star in the sky, or the brightest planet, or the brightest light beyond the sun and the moon, is the planet Venus. It's the next brightest star in the heavens. Okay, whether it's a star itself or a planet, but it's the brightest. Okay, after the sun and the moon. And so, in the evening sky, when Venus is shining, okay, it's very, very powerful sign. But then there's going to be a time when Venus shifts, going past the sun, and it will become a morning star. Okay, so I looked into this information about Venus and when is this transition going to be made. Okay, when does Venus go from being an evening star to becoming a morning star? And although it seems like when I saw this, I was really taken by surprise, but I almost knew in my heart that this was going to connect with what we are watching now on January 8th. And so I was filled with surprise, but at the same time it's like, wow, I knew this in my spirit, this would be the case. And so I studied this and I found this information. When is Venus, okay, transitioning from being an evening star to becoming the morning star? And here is the key moment in time when Venus begins this transition from evening to morning star, exactly on January 8th, 2022. Okay. 2022 January, Venus into bright twilight inferior conjunction. Venus sets at nautical twilight on New Year's Day 2022. It is rapidly moving between the Earth and the Sun, setting about 7 minutes earlier each evening. In only 5 days, it sets at civil twilight and then passes inferior conjunction at 6:48 p.m. Central Standard Time on January 8th, 2020. The first morning visibility of Venus starts 3 to 4 days after the conjunction. It'll appear about 4% in altitude, 4 degrees in altitude above the east-southeastern horizon during late morning twilight. Okay, so Venus has been an evening star now. I think the time frame on how long this lasts is about 263 days, if I'm not mistaken. 263 days is the time frame. It becomes an evening star, and that period will last for 263 days. And then when it's a morning star, it will be another 263 days as a morning star until it goes back. And this whole cycle begins at inferior conjunction, when from Earth's perspective, okay, Venus is lined up with the sun and then makes that line across. And this is why there will be a few days before January 8th, Venus will no longer be visible, and then it won't be visible again for 3 to 4 days after the conjunction, when it appears as the morning star around January 11th or January 12th, 3 to 4 days after the conjunction. Okay, so this time frame on this puts this inferior conjunction exactly on January 8th. All right, this is the exact day that we are watching. This is day 1335. Okay. Revelation 22:16 says, "I am the root and the offspring of David, and the bright morning star." Okay, so as I said to you, I looked this information up and I was surprised, I was amazed, and I had a foreknowledge in my spirit that this would be the case. This is going to be a sign connected to what we are watching on January 8th. And so here we have on January 8th, inferior conjunction. Now I want to look at where this happens in the heavens. And I want to show you how important not only the day, but the sign and the location of Venus and the Sun together on January 8th. January 8th, okay? Where is the Sun? Where is Venus? This is the day of the inferior conjunction. This is the day that Venus becomes the bright morning star. This is the connection to that process of the beginning moments of Venus becoming the bright morning star. And it's in Sagittarius, which has a bow, it has an arrow, and it has a crown. Okay? Corona Australis. It has a crown. What does it say in Revelation 6:2? And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Revelation 6:2. Okay. This is the depiction of the white horse of the Antichrist. Okay. The seals are the judgments. It's the rise of the four horses of the apocalypse. This is the first horse of the apocalypse. This is not Jesus coming on the white horse at the end of the tribulation. This is the rise of the Antichrist, and it shows him with a white horse. Okay? A white horse and a crown and a bow. Okay? He went forth conquering and to conquer. Exactly on January 8th, the inferior conjunction of Venus and the beginning of Venus as the morning star, this is the sign in the heavens. The horse with the bow, with the arrows, with the crown. Okay? This is the sign on January 8th. As I said, remember it was on January 7th that Barack Obama talked about an epiphany. You will go to the polls, you will have an epiphany, and you will go to the polls and know suddenly you must vote for Barack Obama. Now, January 7th, beyond the connection to the epiphany and the manifestation of Jesus Christ, it's a connection to Christmas in the Eastern world. Christmas in the East is celebrated on January 7th, and this is the difference between the Julian calendar and the Gregorian calendar, the 13 days difference between our Christmas on December 25th and the Eastern world Christmas on January 7th. The difference is the Julian to the Gregorian calendar. Okay, so we have the January 7th is the 13-day difference. Okay, we have 6 days to the end of the year to December 31st, and then we have 7 days more, and it's a 13-day difference between our Christmas and Eastern Christmas. See, and Barack Obama said he would win the war on Christmas. This is all connected to the Epiphany, and we're going to see how it's all connected to the pandemic. It's connected to the 70-year anniversary of Israel. It's connected to the 1,335 days, and it's connected to the 666 days exactly in between when the World Health Organization declared a global pandemic. Exactly in the middle of this time frame. So here we have a connection to Christmas on January 7th. Barack Obama said, "I will win the war on Christmas." Now, okay, I said at the beginning of this that I was going to title this message, Bo means it's time to go. Okay? Bo means it's time to go, January 8th, 2022. So we have here now, this is the Torah calendar, which as we've been watching for the last number of months, the Torah calendar most lines up with the actual day of the new moon sighting, okay, and the correct assessment of where we really are. The Torah calendar, there's a 1 day difference basically from the Hebrew calendar, but this is the most accurate depiction of where we really are is the Torah calendar. So we have the 4th day of the 11th month, okay, January 7th through January 8th. And this is, if you go to the Torah calendar, to the 4th month, to the 11th month, 4th day, you will see that there's a title on this day. It's called Bo. Bo, okay? And so if you click on that and you get the information of this, today the parashah is Bo, which means go, okay? January 7th and 8th, the 4th day of the 11th month, the writing and the meaning of this day and the readings that they have in the Torah describe go. Bo means go, okay? Now, the Bible readings on this take you to Exodus 10 to Exodus 13. And what is Exodus 10 to Exodus 13? Exodus 12 is the Passover. Okay? So when you see Exodus 10 through Exodus 13, you're going to see it's the dealing of God with the Israelites. It's the plagues on Egypt. It's the deliverance of Israel from Egypt. It's the Passover. It's the exit. It's the exodus out of Egypt. This is the Torah reading that coincides with the 4th day of the 11th month. Okay, Bo means go. Now here's the other thing that I want to show you. Okay, did you know that Barack Obama had a dog named Bo? Okay, he had a dog named Bo, and this is a picture of Barack Obama's dog. And this picture that I'm sharing with you was a famous picture that was shared on Twitter. And look at the location of Bo. He's in the Oval Office. He's on the Great Seal of America. Okay, and look at the location exactly of where Bo is sitting. Okay, Bo is sitting exactly at the arrows, right there. The arrows are all pointing to Bo. Okay, do you think this photo is some type of a coincidence? Now, when you look at Bo, okay, when you look at Bo and you look at these arrows, look at the sign that we see on January 8th. We have the sign of the horse, the rider on the horse. We've got the bow, and we've got the arrows, and we have the crown. Okay. Now the other thing about Bo is that Bo, in and of itself, is the exact initials of Barack Obama. Barack Obama, B-O, Bo. The day of Bo, okay? The day of the manifestation, the day of the revealing, Bo, okay? Are you catching all of this? Are you seeing? Are you seeing yet the importance of all of this? And now we are going to be able to see the importance of this official White House photo that came out of Barack Obama's Twitter account. This is a picture that was officially shared from the White House Twitter account. The Game of Thrones, Barack Obama sitting there with his crown, with his bow and arrow, with the eggs that represent the colors of the horses of the apocalypse. And exactly on January 8th, Venus becomes the bright morning star in Sagittarius. And I saw, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. The Antichrist on his throne with his crown, with his bow and arrow, going out to conquer. So what is the most important of all these signs to you? 1335 days from Israel's 70th birthday, the connection by 666 days, the middle point to the declaration of the World Health Organization as a global pandemic, the connection to Antiochus Epiphanes, the Epiphany, to the Epiphany of Barack Obama on January 7th, the connection to Mayfield, Kentucky, 8 dead, 8 missing, and 88 total dead, pointing us to January 8th, 2022. Daniel 11:35 that says, some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them, to purge them, to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed. Bo means it's time to go. Venus, the bright morning star, exactly on January 8th. Orthodox Christmas. And Barack Obama said, I will win the war on Christmas. Okay, so we have our window between January 6th and January 8th. This is what I wanted to share with you today. Please share this as much as possible if you see what I see, okay? If you see the importance of what I am sharing with you, please share this information. I pray you're all blessed today. This is Steve Fletcher with a trumpet for my people, the sign of his coming revealed.